Hello, lovely people. This is Nicole.
And this is Samantha.
With the power of we are here to switch it up and teach you about business, relationships, and how to not only survive, but make it in Los Angeles.
In each episode, we will have top influential guests from the world of real estate. We work hard.
We stage hard.
And we get it done.
The power of we.
How are you, boo-boo?
I'm amazing. How are you today?
I am, well, I've been better.
You're all
you know,
right, you're all right.
I broke my leg.
We're not crying, though, on this episode.
Yeah, we're not.
No.
But, oh my God, it's been a couple months, and you got to do a lot of cool things this summer.
Yes.
So let's talk about it. It's not all about work.
Not all about work, but I did get to go on an amazing trip with all my girlfriends. We went to Spain, went to Granada, Malaga, which is such a fun party place, and
you got to
Portugal,
live,
which is incredible. So
wow,
traveling is
amazing.
just such a good way to see the world.
Yeah, and now it's been so incredible at Elieff and Elieff Meghan. We have been so busy, which has been incredible. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I really, when I think about when I started this company, I think about, you know, how networking was so important to me.
Yeah,
it was such a big thing. And everyone was like, how can you just go out and do that? And when I started, there was not a lot of networking
events
going on
for
at
women.
all. You know, yeah. I created networking events. I would do them at restaurants. Mm-hmm. I would do them like as much as I could. But I'm super excited about our guests today because they are a phenomenon. Why don't you tell a little bit about them?
Meagan and Meghan co-founded Modern Day Wife, a global lifestyle brand and community empowering women to excel in their careers, families, social lives, and relationships. Since its founding in 2019, Modern Day Wife has inspired women worldwide to take change and become the executives of their own lives. Welcome, Meagan and Meghan.
Woo! Welcome! Yay! I'm so excited to have you guys on. Wow. I remember when we first did our first Modern Day Wife, and I was like, they have something great going on. But really, what I want to know is, why did you start Modern Day Wife? Was that something that, you know, just came about?
Sure. This is a Meagan. I'm like, I'll take that one.
Meagan one.
Meagan one. Yeah. I was like, how are we? How Leanne Locken. Yeah, how are we do this? Thing one and thing two. Exactly. Well, it's really interesting because I started the company in Vancouver, Canada. Uh-huh. So it's kind of fun because I'm Canadian and then Meagan Fialkoff is American. So we are basically covering North America. It's very fun. So
that's awesome.
That's a fun fact about us. But yeah, so it was actually back in 2018. So for me, I'm not going to go down the whole career path, but I did have a women's networking group before.
Great.
Which was really amazing, but it was more based around self-confidence, self-love, gratitude, and wellness, called Project You. I ended up actually selling that company to someone else who actually works in our business now, which is so crazy. Her name's Chelsea. So it's nice to see how people follow.
And they come back.
They come back,
that's
exactly.
Amazing.
And it was just a time in my life, actually, where I had hardship. I think, like, when you have hardship, you can learn a lot of things.
Exactly. That
like
is
right
so
now,
key.
we talk, right? You're dealing with something, right? You have an injury or whatever it is. It always teaches you a lesson. So at that point in my life, my husband actually was diagnosed with Crohn's disease.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's an interesting chapter of the story. And I think for us, we've been through so much in our marriage that for sure we were very solid. But the interesting thing about this story is we weren't married. Mm-hmm. Okay, but I had a partner who was suffering from a severe illness. Mm-hmm. And how do you handle that? Right. I also, at the same time, you know, we didn't have a ton of money then. We were living together. We had been together for about 3 years. So I'm navigating, okay, well, how do I still look good? How do I care for someone who's unwell? And I think a lot of us have had to deal with that situation, whether it's a spouse or a family member. How do I actively enjoy my career? Mm-hmm. How do I have friendships? How am I actually making my life go right? Mm-hmm. And so I started to look towards the future. Like, where am I going? I'm very much always a future oriented person.
Clearly,
like, you need to put it there.
This.
Exactly, right? Like, what am I putting there? Where am I going? And I'm like, well, I want to be a wife. I'm not engaged or anything yet, but hey, what about the concept of modern day wife? A woman who's trying to navigate what she's doing, but actually needs people and resources because she knows, like I knew, I'm never doing this on my own.
Right.
Ever. So that's actually how the concept started. And I'm definitely, if you know me, like Megan knows me pretty well, I'm definitely like a branding junkie, I'd say. Like I love building brands. Like I've always been interested in building companies. Business is definitely something I'm very passionate about. So I immediately saved the Instagram handle, saved the website, went on Fiverr and got a logo made.
Wow.
While my husband was actually in the hospital, the logo came
That's crazy.
in.
That's kind of how I started Lead Home Staging.
Right? But like it also gave me purpose. Like it gave me a light when something was really traumatic in my life to go to that fueled my energy to actually like survive something that was so dark.
I love this so much because we have very similar stories. When I started Lead Home Staging, I got divorced. I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. A realtor said, "You're going to start a staging company. Come to my house." We created a logo right there.
Wow.
And there I started.
Yes. That's
out of my garage.
So crazy.
That's amazing. So basically, listeners, guess what? You can do anything that you put your mind to just by doing what? Putting one foot in front of the other, right?
Always. And it's instant, right? Like even this morning I'm getting my makeup done and I'm talking to the makeup artist and we're like, yeah, let's do that. And I'm like, okay, I'm doing it now. Because if I don't take action on it now, 100%. It's not going to happen.
Right.
That's the reality of the situation. It's not going to get done.
Exactly.
So you have to be very fierce of the decisions that you're making and are like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm making the decision. I'm making the choice and it's going to happen.
Yep.
And
that's
where it
powerful.
started. And then Megan and I met, which is a really fun story.
Yeah, how did you two meet?
I'll let Megan tell that story.
Megan, thing too.
Yes. So it was COVID. I was pregnant, and I've run a nonprofit for many years with my dad, and I was traveling around the world doing fundraising, actually. And then COVID happened, and I was pregnant, and I was like, what's actually going to happen when I have this child? Like, how am I really going to keep traveling like this?
Right.
There was not really a game plan.
Right.
So I had always been looking for someone to do a business with, and Megan had DM'd my nonprofit's Instagram page thinking that my chapter in New York was the international page.
That's so funny.
And 'cause she was in, she really, I think, you were looking for international or Vancouver to benefit the chapters there, and was like, we'd love for this event. She was doing a Modern Day Wife digital event with Elena Cardone. And Elena's a patron of my nonprofit, and they wanted the whole thing to benefit it. And she was like, can we do a call? I was like, we don't need to do a call. The answer is yes. Like, what are we talking about? So I got to see how she ran things behind the scenes because I was essentially an affiliate. And any tickets that were made were going to benefit my nonprofit. So I saw how she was running the other affiliates. Like, she had her Google Drive folders, and it was very organized in her emails.
And you were impressed.
Well, it also reminded me of myself. And the truth is, like, I haven't found anyone else that I've ever worked with.
It's very hard. It's hard to find a partner.
To be honest with you.
Yeah.
Well, also, like, now I see how I'm around so many people who know what they're doing. But at the time, I don't know. Like, there weren't people who I felt like were organized or who followed through or were enthusiastic,
which is
and
like
feminine.
the most important thing.
Yeah.
So I knew that, and then I did an IG live with her. And I don't know, on that IG live, I was like, this is the person I've been looking for.
Don't you love that? That's so exciting. You must have like lit up like a firecracker.
Yeah. Well, I think I don't know if what happened. I just know that I just had a knowingness. I don't know why. I don't even know what I even thought about Modern Day Wife. I don't think there was a process of like, well, I love this because blah, blah, blah. I was like, I just like it.
Yeah.
There wasn't even a reason like, well, this makes me feel blah. It was just, I just liked it. And, at the time I was married and I was pregnant and so on. So obviously it did relate to me. But we did a call after the event and we partnered and we launched it in the US and we worked our asses off.
Amazing. And how many events have you done now?
Oh my
Probably
God.
50, I'd say.
A lot.
Wow. 50.
Probably
Can you
50
imagine?
in 5
50.
years.
That is a lot of work. And I know, let's get down to the nitty gritty. I know that gets tiring. What do you do to take care of yourself so you don't get burnt out?
Well, the truth is, for the first 2.5, probably 3 years, we were burnt out.
Yeah.
That is like...
I love that. I love that you guys are honest because everyone like looks at you guys and go, oh, it looks, it's so perfect on the outside. But it's important that people know that this stuff that we do every day takes a lot of work, a lot of grind. It takes a lot of communication. And you know what? We are human.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's so
I have
true.
the chills thinking of it for you.
It's true, though. Like, I remember, because this is an interesting thing that people don't know. We made a decision during COVID to do something we didn't really know about, which was digital events. But I just remember Megan and I talking about it, and we're like, we'll just figure it out. And that really was, or maybe I was like, we're doing it. And I convinced Bridget, who now works for us, who was our intern at the time, research Hopin, which was like a platform. And we just decided to take action and do it. But we didn't totally know what we were doing, but we learned and we made it go right. But I wanted to say that for us, like when everyone else stopped working, not everyone, that's a generalization, but a lot of people were like, it's COVID, like they couldn't work. And so we started creating. And I think that gave us an advantage. But to Megan's point, like there were a lot of sacrifices when we first started. Was that summer of August 2020? 2021 though was when we first started doing in-person events again.
Yeah, April.
And so we were like crazy. She has a new baby. I was getting married. I flew to LA like 2 weeks before my wedding, did this event outside with Megan in a parking lot.
Got burnt.
I was getting married in 2 weeks. Like we just did some things that were a bit insane and that did put stressors on other areas of our life, but it was the reason why we have what we have.
But now you have stories, you know?
It's true.
I mean, we do
It's
stuff
true.
that's crazy, and I look back and I go, how did we get all that done? But you know what?
How do you find the companies that you partner with at your events? Like you have a lot of like cosmetic companies and different companies. How does that come about?
Yeah. I mean, we can both probably answer this one. I mean, for me, I'll give my how I got into sourcing was because I was a retail buyer.
Got it. Okay.
So
cool.
I was lucky and fortunate enough that in my corporate career, I was trained on how to find brands because that's what I did because I bought brands to bring into a store. So I basically used that knowledge when we first started Modern Day Wife
Amazing.
to target companies. So understanding like what are their needs? What is the small business looking for? What type of exposure do they want? What do they need from a community to pop up at? Are they looking for sales? Are they looking for marketing or PR? So there was a strategy that I had learned on how to get contact information from retail buying, but a lot of it is cold calling, right? And really looking. But I also had, I think what was really helpful is an aesthetic eye. Like when I worked corporately, it was a curation. Like it wasn't anyone and everyone that could do the event.
Right.
So Megan and I always talked about that from the beginning. It was like, okay, we were kind of curating, and we still do it today, like curating the sections of the event.
Yeah.
And then also thinking about, okay, who's your target audience? Like who's coming to Modern Day Wife? You can't have X brand if that's not going to appeal to the audience that's at the event. It's just unethical on both parties.
Well, that's
So who is your like main
that's
demographic?
perfect. I want to know.
So it's actually quite a wide range of age. It's 25 to 48.
Okay.
But obviously every sponsor and speaker does bring in different audiences. Like a couple years ago, we had this woman who had a company for this baby thing, and her husband's a cardiologist, and all like the moms of Brentwood in their 50s, I guess, and 60s all came to that event, right? So obviously it does fluctuate based on who's speaking.
That's great because I see it's changed a lot. Because when we did the white party, it was very young, and now when we did the party when she spoke, I saw, you know, people were coming up to me that were of all ages and were really interested. So it was great.
It is. It's 25 to 48. Obviously, we're always honing in on who would be the ideal person.
Right.
But I think one of the things we've learned, well, I've seen from listening to other people's podcasts or reading things, that you do create a business and maybe you had an idea of what you wanted, but then there is like who wants to be, who I think they said like who your avatar is, like who is the audience. So you obviously can't then just neglect who is interested in it, right?
Of course,
But it is, you know, it's women. Obviously, I think what we're doing that's different is it is glamorous.
Yeah.
It is feminine. And we're also not, there are a trillion women's groups now on just scaling and being a founder and being an entrepreneur and so on. And
you guys was not like that when I started. So it's so amazing to watch from here.
We're trying to differentiate ourselves from that. You see, like
How?
the thing, because Modern Day Wife is career, relationships, home life, social, personal. And the only negative thing I would say about all of those various groups that Megan and I both agree on is that then when like you want to go to be a mom or you want to have a great marriage, all these various things, nobody's talking about that anymore.
Yeah.
And you don't necessarily, unless you
I love that you're bringing that up.
well, it's a no.
Like,
this is like an actual
important.
cultural problem.
Yeah.
And we won't
It's
get into
true.
all of our necessarily how we feel about that because that's another
lot.
topic and perhaps controversial. But like we really have lived what we stand for.
Right.
Like when we got partnered, I was pregnant. And I literally was so just thinking, I'm going to have this baby and they're just going to be in a crib and I'm just going to be working and they just sleep. I had no clue. And because no one talks about it.
Yeah.
And even like the doula in the books, all they did is they bring you up until the pregnancy and having the baby. And then it's like there's this assumption, but the culture's not set up that way now.
Right.
It's not like you're living with your mom in the mother-daughter house
Right.
and all of us or the community. And so we our events ideally would address all these things. Our digital events, actually, the one really great thing about them is we did incorporate that into it. We always had a power couple speaking about how their relationship is doing, like successful actions. We do have our Modern Day Mama series that we launched last year. So that one
that's awesome.
is focusing on motherhood and so on.
Very cool.
But yeah, like we think it's important for women that we talk about all of these things because then you're not set up for success in these other areas that most women do want to do well in.
Yeah.
Right. So what's your biggest event that you've had so far?
Ooh, that's like a fun
Probably,
one.
I think the game-changing event was last June.
Yeah,
right?
like
And April too.
Yeah, I was going to say both of those. No, I was going to say that. That's where I was like, I was going to say April, but then I was like, oh, it was really June at the Sofitel.
Yeah,
Right?
we obviously have like ideal scenes that we've been capturing for a long time. Like what are other events that we like? What are things that we aspire to? And you take all those various different pieces and you put them into, okay, well, what is our ideal scene, right?
Right.
And, in other women's groups, we've seen a lot of cutesy, like even down to colors, a lot of peaches and pinks and cutesy fonts and all these things. And then you see a million other women's groups copying that.
Yeah.
Right. And we even read in Jacqueline Johnson's book, the Create Cultivate founder, how that is what's going to happen when you're successful. All the copycats come and so on, right? But essentially, like those events, part of why they were game changers for us and were big was because we started, like we had, and I think you were part of the event in April for Meet Me at the London.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And
Amazing.
that screening room, right? The screening room where actually
your team. Let's go back to your team. I think that is so important to talk about because you guys, like us, we run these big companies, but we have to really talk about like the team behind you.
Yes.
I forget the guy's name.
Derek.
Oh my God. I was like, of course you know, because I don't know. I'm in the hallway. I'm like, I can't find Dasha. Something's happening. And is that Samantha? I'm
my
like,
God.
yes, it is. And he's like,
the best.
snap, snap, snap. It was done. And it was like, wow, he's a good one.
He is
I
a
will
good
tell you.
one.
And
But
I
yeah.
love that screening room. That made it so much more intimate.
God.
And that was a backup
really
plan.
cool.
That
I know.
turned out well.
But I liked it.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
you really had the integrity of hearing what
Yeah.
people were saying
Right.
and talking. And the people
Yeah.
who really wanted to listen got
Right.
to listen, right?
Yeah.
Like that's how our last event was.
You've done
too,
a
so.
good
really
job
better.
because what you're doing is not easy. Let's just get something straight, you guys. It's not easy. They have to put all these different, brands and different things in hotels which are not set up for this.
Right.
So you guys have had to
definitely
create, you've had to stage each of the hotels. And honestly, I've been impressed because, it's not easy to do that. So well done.
And expensive.
Well done,
Yeah.
girl.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
But it takes like great partnerships. Like we've had an amazing partnership with you guys, right? Where you're
Yeah.
willing to see like, okay, this is worth it for us to be
Right.
a part of what you're doing. And we love that. And it's also to what you said, teams like finding the right people.
Yeah.
Like I think Megan and I have really wanted to find key players because the reality is like if you want to expand, you're not going to do that on
Right.
your own.
Right.
So for me and I think Megan too, we've had like a vested interest in finding those people. Like in the back of my mind, I'm always like, okay, who's the next
And you know what?
person?
Last night
Who's
I
the
got
next
a call.
person?
from one of your people.
You did?
Actually.
I love that.
And they were like, "Hi, I met you at Modern Day Wife." I was like,
Really?
That's good to know.
wow, I'm so excited right now that she wants to have me speak. And it was an amazing call. She was so positive, so happy. And I was like, I have to tell the girls.
We love that.
So excited.
So, you know what I mean? It does come back. So what I want to really get out, and this is what Nicole and I talk about a lot, is that when you're networking, it's really important to understand networking, it doesn't just happen. Things don't just come in the next day, the next month, the next 2 months. It can come back to you in 6 months, a year, 2 years. And that right there is why these girls are successful.
Oh, thank
Well,
you.
it's very
True.
nice. Well, the thing is too, it's everything is not a transaction, and this is why Megan and I were just in the car talking about like how we would never survive in the corporate world because there's so much of just transactional and how much money and blah 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 and so on. And it's like no, like a big part of this, and this is networking, is like it's relationships.
Yeah.
Everything is your who are your
I
communication
love that.
lines.
Say that again for everybody. What is it?
It's relationships,
So
but for real,
true.
and not just standing there
Yeah,
talking to someone,
100%.
being like,
Yes.
like
What can I
expecting-
get
yeah,
from
what can I
that?
get from
Superficial, like
No.
actually getting
Oh my
to know
God, we
someone
tell
and
our
building that
girls all the
relationship.
time, you have to have a
You
relationship
do.
with the agents.
Yeah.
Because like we even say this, like we had an event when you're in a pinch, like who's going to be there to help you? It's to be the
100%.
people that you actually built a relationship with, right? And sometimes I think it's interesting because we do have so many members in the community or
Right.
so many brands, but we were talking about that, like how do we continually make those gestures that are kind and you want to get to know the person because that is the person that's going to show up for you at the end of the day.
Exactly. And that's what's important.
It's so true. And the also thing that I've realized, which I think you really were just saying with the networking piece, it's even with social media promoting, right? Like people don't always answer your stories or respond to your posts because I mean, we're all busy. Like I miss so much stuff on social media. I'm sure we all do, but just putting it out there because you never know like who's watching,
Right.
or
true.
like you said, maybe down the road they're like, oh, I am going to do the Modern Day Wife event, or oh, I do want to like meet with Meagan Fialkoff in LA for coffee, or oh yeah,
Right.
Meagan Elieff, Canadian Megan's doing blah in Canada. Like it's great to just keep putting yourself out there because I think sometimes it's easy to retract and be like, oh, I'm not going to go to that event. I didn't meet anyone, or oh, I posted that story and no one said anything. But then
Yes.
you meet someone for like coffee 2 weeks later and they're like, oh yeah, I saw you did blah 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 on your Instagram. You're like,
Exactly.
but you never said anything. You watched that?
Right.
Great. Like I'm happy.
Yeah.
So it's just a reminder like for yourself when you're feeling introverted because maybe you're not getting the acknowledgement
Right.
out of the events or what you wanted. I love that you said maybe it doesn't come right away.
Yeah,
But it
so
is
true.
there because you did put it there.
And one thing I really want to talk about is, you guys are asking a lot of people to do stuff, right? All these events are, right? I do a lot of charity. I'm involved in so many different organizations. And sometimes I'm like, is this really helping?
Right.
But you know what? It does help. It does help because even though we're putting our furniture there, maybe someone's not buying furniture, but I just made an amazing friend with Megan. And you know what? If I needed something, she referred me somebody else.
That's right.
Also, like, here's actually my real, like, overarching viewpoint on all of it. The reason why you're involved in networking, you're doing event, is it's what kind of game do you want to be playing? When someone's just like, I didn't get blah out of it, it's like, well, then you're not the right person. Because I do the things I did, the amount of charity that my father and I did, it wasn't because of what we were getting out from that event. It's like, what game do we want to be playing in our life?
Right.
What role do we want to have in the society?
Yeah.
What kind of PR and publicity do we want to have?
I love
So
that.
you do put yourself out there and you outflow and you provide and you give and you help and you so on, and that's putting you on these large communication lines in the world. It's the wrong think. It's the wrong to think to you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like what to just be transactional on each event. And this is, Megan and I, another thing, and I know we talk too much, but fine. Like is that
It's the New Yorker.
yes, it's the Jewish Italian. It's a deadly
Well, we're
mix.
Jewish, so we
God
get it.
knows.
I'm Jewish Italian too.
Oh,
Yes. why do you
my
think I connect with you guys?
But I was
my
raised here,
God.
so that's probably why I'm not as talkative.
Yeah, but my dad grew up in New York, in Brooklyn. So everyone always would say to me, Where are you from?
Yeah, that's
No,
right.
I'm not from New York, but my father was, and he raised me like this.
I love that.
Well, you're lucky because New York's the best country in the world. But I'm like, I'm not American. I'm a New Yorker.
like I have my own country.
Yeah. But last thing too, and I really hope I don't forget. I realized this recently. We speak to so many people who work in companies, and you can see who, if the boss or the CEO actually knew
That's right.
what their employees were doing, what they were, what if they
100%.
don't want to do an event, maybe it's because they just want to work less.
Right.
Yeah.
True.
Or they want to see the vision and they're like, yes, I want to do this because it will accomplish my goals in the
Exactly.
company. You actually see who's a good employee
Right. Yeah,
from
that's
doing
such
sales.
a good point.
And that's exactly why I'm so involved in my company. That's
Yes.
exactly why. Because, I mean, when I started my company, I created it. You know, there was no career for women in staging. Or men. There was no career. And I stood on stage talking behind Robert Ridkin from Compass, right? He was bringing Compass out. And someone says to me, do you have your design license? And I said, no. And he said, you're not going to be successful. I said, not only am I going to be successful, but I'm going to show people how to start a staging career.
I love that.
And that's what I've done.
Amazing.
So I get what you're doing. That's why I cried earlier, because I feel like my career, I'm watching you guys.
Aw. Well,
Sorry.
And it's so nice to just have a platform for women to come together, because
Yes.
I feel like we're just changing that in society from, like, you know, it was never like that before. Now we
Yeah.
can all come together and motivate each other to start a business or to, you know, talk about whatever we want to talk about, and normalizing like that you can be a mom and work. And I think that's something that really wasn't talked about before.
Yeah.
So it's
Or
so
just be a
important.
mom.
Or just be a mom.
Right? Like, these are the things
Yeah.
we're trying to talk about too. Like
whatever
that's
you wanna
okay
do.
too,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right? Like
Yeah.
that,
Right.
that needs to, that's
Exactly.
the most important job on the whole
Yeah,
planet.
you can
to
do
be
whatever
honest
you
with
want.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
important.
And also, like, you know, the social media. Let's go to the social media, because everybody's like so obsessed with social media. And, oh, I don't look like this. I don't look like that. Like, you know, we deal with it in our own world, in Elite. Like, that staging company did that. But really, you got to be proud of what the hell you're doing.
That's right.
Right? And,
Yeah.
you know, I'm super proud of this one. She's like a total boss. She has like 12 people under her.
Oh my
She's
God.
running this show. And she's really focused on making sure that her people are happy and successful and making money.
Yes.
You know?
No, I think
So
that's the
it's
most important thing. And you know, in any business, like if the people who are working with you are happy, then everything's going to flow naturally.
It's so true. We have
good
that
point.
We do have that conversation, right? And you
And
can
it gets
you
hard
can
sometimes,
you
but-
have to spot like when you're like, oh, like we had a
Yes.
situation the other day, and I'm like, I think we need to spend more time with that person, because
Yeah.
you can see like the morale, like if you
100%.
pay
Yes.
attention, it drops. You just have to
Yes.
like
Yeah.
watch it, right? But it's so true, and I think also like what I love about leadership is it's also letting other people shine. Like yes, you
Yes.
give them direction.
Yeah.
Yes, there's obviously parameters in which they have to work under. Like if it's
Right.
your business, they're not going to
course,
go do
of
something
course.
that's completely off
Yeah.
topic to what you're doing. But it's so amazing, like when you see, like, I love actually the fashion show in our business, because it's like
It's amazing,
the girls
by the
actually
way.
have a company, like their own
Yeah.
little business within our business.
Yeah.
But that's so
Literally.
exciting.
That's
like it's
so
so
exciting.
amazing. Like you just watch them, they're having fun, they're doing their jobs, they're enjoying it, and they're thriving. But then
Wow.
we're winning because it's also an extension of Modern Day Wife.
Right.
But it is, it's funny.
Yes.
It's its own. Tara and Carly run our fashion show.
Yeah.
Tara's the director and Carly's the assistant director. And they have their own subculture. Like they're both artsy. Tara's very like demure, like
Yes.
not to
Yeah.
bring that.
Yes.
I know it's like being used a lot now, but
But
she
it's
is.
true.
And they have their own subculture. Like we don't. I mean, I shouldn't say this. Megan has a little bit more of a pulse on it, but we really just let them run it.
Well,
Yeah.
And they're doing a great job.
Exactly.
So that's great. So it's great to see people in your organization really shining, because not only does it make you guys look really good, but it also fills your soul with goodness. Because you know what? Listen, I've helped so many people because I'm paying them and I'm employing
right.
them.
Yes.
And you know what? People forget about that. CEOs, all of us, we forget. Like, I mean, I don't have a $70 million mansion, but I take pride in really making sure that my employees are paid. You know, they have good benefits. We take care of them. You know, that should be something to talk about, because that's really a hard job.
It
to
is
be honest with you.
Very hard.
And
you know,
very hard.
It's a risk too. Like you
It's
think
a
of
risk.
anyone who's
100%.
started a business, it's like
it's scary.
It's scary, but you're
Yeah.
also you are providing
Yeah.
for those people. Like they're not it's not a bad thing that that's the responsibility of a business owner, but the employee is not concerned about like they know they're getting paid.
Yeah.
Right. And then it's like, okay, well, but then us as business owners, we're like, okay, how are they getting paid? Like we have to like put that
Yeah.
there. You have
Yes.
to manage it. You have to do all
And
of that.
sometimes
right?
you have to like pray that it's gonna all work out, and even
100%.
you know.
I'm more on the praise side.
Yeah,
Sometimes
but you know
Megan's
what?
like,
You
"But it
guys
does
are
work
so
out."
amazing. I mean,
It does
Nicole and
work
I
out.
talk about it all the time, and I want to tell you, we were just talking about the event that I finally said, Nicole, you need to come and start talking with me, and that was super fun because
I love
you know,
that.
mother-daughters. We get a lot of people that want to have good mother-daughter relationships.
Yeah.
So anything you want to do with that, we would love to be involved
Yes.
because it's important. Because whether it's mother-daughter or mother-son, whatever it is, I want to get out that we can have really good relationships, even though we've gone through a ton of things. We weren't sober, we were, whatever it is. But we have chosen to communicate, to get work, to have life coaching. And I want to get that out there more and more because
Yes.
it's so important. As you guys have kids, you'll see it's not easy. Right,
Oh,
when
I
you're a
have a
mother,
4-year-old.
you
I
and
feel
you're
like I'm
only
doing
4.
the worst
Try
job
the
every
day.
teenage years.
every day.
No,
As
you're a
the
great
teenage
mom.
years, you're like, oh my
But
God, help me.
But that's why
I
I
am
admire what
scared
you're
for that.
doing because I was not like I look back and I'm like I can't believe I was like so grumpy to my mom or like when you were a teenager. Like
Yeah.
I really look back and I'm like I wish I had something like this. What you guys are doing.
But that's why
Take
we're
time.
doing this, so that
Yes.
people can
Yeah.
we want to get more mother-daughter, mother-son, whatever. I mean, I'm
Yes.
super close to my son. I have a hot son, by the way, and I
is he-
swear I never talk about him. Don't
never
I?
talk
Do I
about
have
him.
the hot? Isn't he cute?
Is she like
say
that?
He is, but no one ever knows about my son because he's not on this.
We'll
right?
have to hook him up with someone if
Yes.
he's single.
It's like
Yes, he would
Robert
love that.
Kardashian. Is that his
He's
name? His
so
brother?
cute.
No one knows.
Yeah, literally.
Oh my God.
Exactly. He's
funny.
adorable, and
So
they're
funny.
super close, super close. And
That's great.
The one thing I did, I don't know why I switched to this, but when I was, because you're a mom, and so I'm trying to
it.
go to mom stuff. When they were little, I did not allow them not to be close. And people would say, how do you have your kids so close? Because I would do the 1, 2, 3 rule, and that really worked.
What's that? Yeah.
I don't even know why it scared us about it. I'd be like, 1, 2, if I get to 3, you're in trouble. Nothing ever happened, but we would always be so scared that she'd get to 3, so we would stop fighting or whatever we were doing.
And now they're like twins. They're like Irish
Yeah, we're
twins.
really close.
What's
So-
the age gap?
17 months.
Okay, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we grew up together, but
Yeah.
we are
That's the
best
way to
friends.
do
We talk
it.
every day.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, I
Wow.
love that.
Yeah, it's very cool. Like I want to celebrate this. This is a
We
huge
should,
win that I
though.
did this.
Totally.
You created a
and she- and
family.
he
It's the whole
point
needs
of
to come
life.
to your event.
Yeah, he
to
can
see all
find
the cute
his
girls.
modern day
Our
wife.
He'll
Our
me
event
later.
is the place. For
It is
me.
the
Right.
place.
Well, actually, we
Oh
should
my
be like
God.
all
Telling my
single
friends
men.
that. Yeah.
Come to the next event and find your
100%.
future wife.
Yes,
Right? Like come to Modern Day Wife and find the
True.
wife.
New dating app, Modern Day Wife.
It could be though.
It's
could
so
be.
funny.
Yeah.
But it's so important. I wanted to bring this up to you guys because I want to get more involved, and I think that the mother-daughter thing, like people ask me all the time, what are you doing? How can I do that? What if my daughter does this?
Yeah.
It's important. And, obviously, and for her, she works for me and she's a boss, but she can help people, that way too. I think.
Totally. Well, it reminds
So-
me a little bit. I worked with my dad up until he moved
I
to LA.
love that.
From 24 until 30. Actually, no, 22 is when you graduate. I always think, why am I 20? No, I graduated college when I'm 22.
Yeah.
So I lived in Manhattan 9 years and I worked with him the whole time. He's a periodontist in New York, and he donated all his money to our nonprofit, right? That's essentially how it happened.
Yeah.
So I ran it for him and also planned some humanitarian trips to Cuba for dentists. And various
Amazing.
things.
I would love that.
And I was never going to leave, right? I came here because I met my husband at the time. So, but I really enjoyed working with my dad because also when you fight or things like that, there's nothing really to worry about. because there's an unconditional love.
That's a good
so you're
point.
never really worried about any of that because you know it's going to handle and you know you love that person no matter what. So there's that security.
That's true.
That's very true, actually.
I mean, it's family, right?
Yeah.
It's family.
I mean, but you guys are like family now, and I was
true.
like telling Dasha, we haven't done anything. Like, I missed the events.
Well, November, I was like, well, if you don't know, we're signing you up.
Yeah. Well, that's good because I didn't know. I'm excited.
Well, it's our annual event.
One I did a video for you guys. We did a big on the all white
Where
video.
was that? Sophie's
That
June
was
2023.
that was like. Yeah,
That was our first
That was a
event.
fun.
I'm
they've all
excited
been
to
fun.
do something fun for
The
you.
ones at SLS were cool too.
Well, that's
yeah.
the one, November 22nd.
Yes.
It's called
great.
so we have what we call our legacy event.
Okay, let's talk about it.
A legacy event is an event that we do every year that becomes iconic in the city. So let's shop at the SLS, which is coming up November 22nd.
Oh my God, I was like,
November
December
22nd.
girl.
November 22nd. I don't know. I mean, I'm
fine.
in like different years.
It's okay.
That is the next event.
Great.
So let's shop, SLS.
Love
so it's
that.
a holiday event, and we're
And if you have never come, you have to go to these events. They are the coolest events ever, right?
Yeah, they're so fun. You
I
have to
mean,
be there.
all my team wants to go. Everyone you know what? I don't know if you're still doing this, but with one of the events, I came the night before and met
Yeah,
the
we did.
panel.
That was
people.
great.
That was so much fun.
Yes,
I
we're
have to
doing
tell
that.
you,
We're doing
I
that
want to
every
be
event.
involved in all that because then I can really get to know people and we can talk.
It's actually
see-
so nice.
It's
And there's people
so
in all
nice.
different areas of life. Which
Right.
I love. Like I met someone who was really involved in like the sober community, and they put on this big event for not drinking.
Oh,
and
Chella?
Was it?
Chella from
probably Chella.
Yeah,
Yes.
Sarah was her
and-
name, I think.
Yeah,
They
I
did it
ended
in
up going-
Malibu. Did you
yeah.
go?
You
Yes, I went to that event.
Yeah.
In Santa Monica?
Yes.
Or Manhattan
Yeah.
Beach?
No, Malibu.
Santa Monica. It was near Malibu.
Oh my God, you
Yeah.
went to
I went to it. It was
Yeah,
great
see?
because I'm sober, and it was just
Yeah,
a
we're
cool.
sober,
It was
so
a
yeah.
big
I know
event. They
that.
had like. It was like what you guys do, but for sobriety, and it was a really cool experience. And I brought some of my friends, and they were opening up to more getting sober. So like just through doing that, I was able to meet those people. So
Yeah,
it's really cool.
See how this
That's
all,
awesome.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Well, that's why you do the event. You see,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Chella got a whole group of amazing young
Yeah.
women to come. That is a side
never
product
know.
of that.
Right? But these are the things that you don't always hear about until
Right.
like
Yeah,
now,
exactly,
right? It's like we're always talking about this where someone's like, the slippers. There was a slipper company, Maven Chase, that did one of our events. And then I was at the pageant and one of the other contestants was like, oh my God, I bought the slippers from your Instagram. I'm like,
Aw.
cool. But it's like the same thing. You don't always
Yeah.
know, but the connections do happen, right? And I'm
Wait,
like,
so
that's awesome.
we need to talk about
yeah,
this
let's
pageant.
talk about Miss International.
Okay,
I mean,
okay.
wow.
I know.
I mean, where did that come from?
How long
I
have
mean,
you been
come
doing
on,
that?
girl.
Okay, well, this is the cool story because I feel like we've talked a lot about family. So
Yeah.
it was a nice, segue into this. So it comes to networking because actually I had a girlfriend who did the pageant. And so she had reached out to me about a year ago and she was like, you should do the pageant, you should do it. And I was like, I don't know. Her name was Sandy. I was like, I don't know. I have so much going on. Maybe I'll think about it.
Yeah.
So I said to her, yes. And then something happened in my life. And then I was like, oh no, I can't do it. But then I remember she reached out to me again in January of this year. So January 2024. And she's like, you should do it, Megan. Like, you're perfect. You have modern day wife. Like, because you have to have a platform.
Right.
So basically the system that I'm doing is called international pageants, which yes, it's still a beauty pageant. You compete in evening gown, you compete in fitness, but they're very platform based. Like what are you doing in your community to make an impact? And they're also all about family values, integrity and ethics. So it is about, marriage. You have to be married to compete in this certain category of Mrs. And what are you doing to make an impact, but also involving your husband?
Wow.
And I'm like, that's really special to me because, at the foundation of Modern Day Wife, it was originated or started because of that relationship with my significant other.
Right.
And I do think family is important, however it goes for anyone in their
Right,
life, like whether it's
exactly.
your husband, your kids, extended family, like more people in society need to talk about the fact that you need to build that relationship with your family because
Exactly.
if no one's creating on it or no one's getting the family together anymore, or the extended family, like it does fall apart.
Yeah.
So that for me, I was like, okay, that really resonates. And I also want to have kids in the near future. So I kind of knew that it was now or never for me to sign up. I also had never done a pageant before.
Well, you did an amazing job.
Well, thank you. But I think what helped me, and I was actually talking because with my hair and makeup artist, because he's here, the gentleman that I met through the pageant. We were talking this morning. I think what played into my favor is that, of course, I wanted to win, but I also was like, I'm just here for the experience.
Right.
Like, I want to have a good time. I learned so much about myself through the journey of the pageant. Like, I became more confident. I became more feminine. I got to like enjoy like almost showbiz, because you're like on the stage putting on this performance. And I also really just had a good time with it. And I think you could see that. Like, I wasn't like, I'm going to beat you, or like have that intention with the girls. I'm like, you could definitely tell, like, yes, this is a competition. But at the end of the day, I was like, so happy with the experience, even if I didn't win, because the women at the pageant are actually the people that I would have over for dinner.
Oh, that's incredible.
Because they're all doing something big in their life. They all have purpose. Like, no one was catty or jealous. Like I was telling Megan, like, it was the modern day wife was at that event. Like, our ideal person was that woman that was there.
That's incredible.
Just doing stuff, right?
That's amazing.
So, I mean, it's opened a lot of doors for me, and it was also just such a cool experience. Like, I think sometimes in life you stop yourself from doing things because you think, oh, it's too hard. And it was a lot of work. Like, I had to learn how to walk.
Yeah, I saw that.
More professionally or runway, but it's always good to have a challenge.
Yeah.
Like, I'm all
100%.
about, like, when you get to the little, like, what are you doing when that? I say stagnant's not like a nice word, but you know what I mean?
When you are just coasting along life,
Yes.
like, it's not a good place.
Yes. And it's
Not for
been
me.
fun. And also, like, the girls have loved Modern Day Wife. And I think if that's something, too, that I can bring awareness to, like, Megan had or has a call with one of the other delegates who's like, can I get involved? I'm like, I'm all about, like, expansion in whatever area.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
why
great.
are we working
Would you ever
solo?
do like a modern day wife pageant?
I don't know. Probably not, because I'm actually, the answer would be no, because like I definitely am committed to the international pageant system. Like, I'm not about that. Like, I'm not going to go and start my own thing. Like, if I was like going to do a pageant, it's a great question, but it's a good viewpoint to have. No, I would just build within what she's done. Right? I think more people should partner up instead of just trying to do their own thing.
Exactly.
Because like, that's how things are going to get
And that's what
ahead.
she's good at, and you guys are good at modern day wife.
Yeah.
It's like people don't forget. Continue to work on what you're good at.
That's
and
right.
not do everything else, because that's when you get in trouble.
Well,
That's for
also
sure.
like that also brings up a point of like the society, you know, you have to get into a whole thing, but you know, you obviously have like there's a separation of the classes happening, right? Like an extreme separation, right? And part of that, and whatever, I'm going to say this if people don't like it or they do like it, but like, sorry, but J-Lo, like, you don't need to start the alcohol brand. Let another person make money from the alcohol brand. This is just my opinion. It's just like, you have to be able to share with other people to have success too.
Yeah,
like, when
that's
is
true.
it enough? And when is J-Lo going to be like, I'm gonna now do humanitarian work?
Right.
Yeah.
When does that happen?
Good point.
Yeah.
That's just my viewpoint. I think that's really important. And I think if there was more on her platform, humanitarian work, and all the other people with $400 million followers,
100%.
400 million followers, then they would set that example, as opposed to the goal seems to be for most of these opinion leaders is how much more can I amass for myself?
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's a great point. I love
very
that.
true.
But it also goes to the other flip side of the coin too. It's like, okay, if you took one less project, like, how much more time could you spend with your family?
Yeah.
Or could you raise
I
kids?
love that. That's
or
great.
could you donate your time to charity, right? Because
that is so important too. Work-life balance.
That's right.
Exactly.
Nicole talks about that all the time. She asks every guest, so how do you have work-life balance? Because this one works like 80 hours a day.
Well, I mean, this is the time to do it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I,
in your
yeah.
20s.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
there's so much I could say on that subject, and you can
I
chime in at any
agree.
point too. But like, you know, that is the time in your 20s to set yourself up before you do
Right.
have a family and so on.
Yeah.
Right. Like, it just so happened for me that I met Megan at the time when I was pregnant and so on. And so I made sacrifices, and here I am today with certain situations I have in my life. Right. So I think now is the time to do that.
Yeah.
I'm curious. I mean, I know we're the guests here, but I am curious about your work-life balance. Like, how do you both? Like, what are
That's
your
great.
schedules?
God, well, we work a lot, but I always make sure that first of all, I meditate every morning. That's something I need to do. Usually, I make sure that I can work out 3 to 4 times a week.
Nice.
So
At
that's,
what time?
That I do it at night.
Okay.
So for me, I always do it at night. So I'm an early riser. This one I can't get up in the morning. So I get up at like 6 a.m. or sometimes 5:30 to be honest with you. And I'm talking to, New York or Miami or Guadalajara because I'm working on my own furniture line right now. My very own furniture line. So I'm creating my own furniture line. So I'm doing all my creating and all that in the morning. And then I go to the office or I go to appointments or whatever I need to do. But it's really important for me that I have family time.
Yes.
So I do a lot of on the weekends.
Okay.
I do a lot of barbecues and stuff at the house. I have a house in Palm Springs, so I invite everyone.
I love that.
Yeah. What about you?
Work-life balance? Well, I don't know much about that, but I work a lot and I enjoy it, so it doesn't feel like work. Like me and Ashley were talking about this the other day. Like when you're working and it's fun, you don't feel like, oh, I'm working so hard.
That's right.
Sometimes there's a lot going on, so it's just like a little bit like, oh, we have 100 things to do. But when it's a fun job and like I love the people I work with, like I love my team, I don't feel like it's like I like it being part of my life. Like I enjoy it. So it's like work-life balance in itself. But I do like a lot of things for myself, like I don't know, I go to the gym, I go to the beach. I do see my friends on the weekends a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a lot of girlfriends that
And then
hang
we
out all
don't
the time.
talk about work after hours. That's
Good.
one
That's
of the
good.
that's the
Yeah.
one of
Well,
the
we
things.
cut off a time
We
when
cut
it's
off a
not.
time.
Wow. I love that.
We have
let me
to do that.
rephrase. We cut off a time.
So like we were at dinner with my grandma the other day, her mom. We're sitting there, my mom tried to talk about work and I said, no, when grandma leaves you can talk about it.
Yeah.
Like, not right now.
That's great.
Yeah.
Because we have to like separate it or else it
Yes.
can get too chaotic, I think, with anything. Like you
And
have to
Fernando
have the
and I,
balance.
everyone knows. I mean, he runs the warehouse. So when we come home, we can't talk. And one of the things that actually Nicole helped with that is because he runs the warehouse, so they handle all that part.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
they don't come to me as much. So we're not dealing at home because it's starting to be a family business now, right?
Exactly.
So you have to separate the boundaries.
Yes.
And so during work at the office, I'm like, is this done? What's happening? Da, da, da. But at home, he always says, I'm the boss at home. And he is the boss at home.
But it's cute because what we've learned, I think, through all this is just communication is key. It's something that I've learned with like working with my mom, working with Fernando, and just working with everyone is just like you have to overly communicate what you want, what you need, or what anything in life. And it's not just for work. Like it's helped me like in my personal relationships and everything. Because communication's the only way like to make anything work.
God.
If not, there's just confusion.
Exactly.
And
Or
sometimes you
assumptions
think
and whatever.
they think something else.
Yeah,
Totally.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on this topic? Because I love that.
Yeah, this is a good
Can you
topic.
talk more about that?
about communication.
Like how do you do that?
Well, I think it works for me and my mom to work together. Well, she doesn't like it, but I call her Sam at the office, and that's in my mind
Pisses me off.
how I separate like work from mom. I don't know. I have to do that, but I don't know. I just know her so well because she raised me, obviously, and like I don't know. I've known her since ever, so I know how to work with her and like how to communicate with her in a way that she will understand it.
Actually, what she does is she treats it like
works.
business. Okay, so
Well, yeah, it's
this is really
business.
important. I had a partner before, and it was very toxic. And I love her; she's a sweet person.
Great person.
But it was it didn't work out.
Yeah.
When I started working with my daughter, she treated it like business. So I might not always agree with the stuff that she wants to do or what but she presents
very
it to me
professional about it, yeah.
very professional.
Like if I want something changed, I'll come with a presentation and like
Yes.
what the negatives and positives will be. Like
That's
I try to
amazing.
take it like to the next level because at the end of the day we are family. But I think for a while when I first started working is I wanted her to look at me as a partner and an equal rather than her daughter. So I kind of overcompensated to try to make that happen. And it's worked, and honestly it's taught me like how to run a company and be professional with everyone else.
Wow.
So
Yeah,
it's been great.
and how to, I mean, quite frankly, she's helped me and Fernando because I've never worked with my partner, right? That you live with, and and it's helped me to be able to separate that.
Those hats.
And we always have to remember to go into the feminine. And as a CEO, for many years, it was hard for me to drop into the feminine. So I have
Totally.
had to really
after work.
work on that.
How do you
and
guys do that?
learn how to do that because it's not easy.
Well-
so that's why I'm not the boss at home.
But I think but I actually love what you said, because when you don't have those boundaries, that's actually when it falls apart, I think.
Yeah,
Like personally, if I think of like my own marriage, it's like when it's like work goes into like the evening time.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like being married is difficult, but it's also very sacred. So you need to like create on that, right? Or it's even funny the other night, kind of like to your point, my mother-in-law was helping me because I'm helping with an event at my husband's company right now. We started chatting in the kitchen and my husband's like, no work, like no work in the house. And we're like, oh, right. Okay, right. Like it's dinner time, because you have to, someone has to be the policymaker on that.
Yeah, 100%.
Because then you don't get that time to connect.
It slips in
and
so
then
easy.
it just, and you want to have that romance. Like you want to have those things. And then you also realize like in a marriage, it is like a give and take, right? Like one of the things my husband loves is he likes having meals, like dinner. He was raised very traditional. So I'm
Fernando loves that too, and
Right?
that's very new for me.
but it was kind of new
Without
for
a
me
nanny.
too. But then I was like, oh, I'll get into it.
I see your post.
So I'm like, I'm just going to make it fun. And honestly, I'm having the best
I
time.
know. You're motivating me. I wanted
Right?
to tell you that because I was
Thank
like,
you.
wait, Megan just made that? Okay, I need to make that.
I didn't see. What did you?
I've made like every
like
night
some
I've been
turkey
posting.
something.
Yeah, I made like a stuffed chicken or something.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So I'm like, you can just like, but before my attitude would have maybe been like resentment.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like, where is that coming from? Like, who's
Exactly.
telling me to be mad to make
Right.
my husband dinner? Like, that
Right.
does not
Yeah,
make
that's a good
sense.
point.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm just going to have a great time with it. And for me, it's like one of the things that I absolutely love doing now. I'm like, oh, good. It's like 5:30. Like, what am I going to do? Like, I'm relaxing. I'm like sharpening my skills. And now I'm like, oh, who wants to come over for a dinner party?
Yeah.
Like, it's just changing your viewpoint. But then it's also like, he's fulfilled and I'm fulfilled. So you just have to figure out what works for your own marriage. Like, that's not going to work for everyone,
Because
obviously.
you probably asked him, what are the things that are important to you that I do? And that's part of communication, right? So this is what we do.
We should write that down.
I was
Someone's gonna
listening-
write that down. That
Do you know?
It's
Do you ever
great
listen
to
to
know.
Jay
We're gonna
Shetty?
sit
Wow.
and have lunch.
That's like I'm
Do you ever
writing that
listen
down.
to Jay Shetty's podcast?
No, I need to.
He's like,
yeah,
he talks
he's
about
good.
relationships.
I love
and
that.
He's a really good podcast. But he was talking about like the one thing you should always ask your partner in a relationship are like, what are your 3 core values? And if you don't know your partner's core values, that's why you guys will get into arguments or fights or like miscommunications and things.
But what is a core? I don't even know what that means. If someone's like, "What are your core values?" I have no idea.
Well,
Maybe
it could
your
be like family or I
It
don't
could
know,
be like
or like success, like modern day wife, like putting that could be one of your that could be one of yours. Like core values is like making sure like that's going before whatever you're doing. Like it could be really whatever you want it to be. There's no
Well,
rules
what are
to
your-
it.
But
core
what
values
is
then,
really
yeah.
important? Well, my core values
Yeah.
are very simple. Family comes first to me, my work, and my health.
Yeah.
Those are
it.
my
Okay.
3 things. That now you could spread off. Like on work, I need to my branding, my all that kind of stuff. But when I asked Fernando, for him 100% was he wanted someone to cook for him.
Right.
Right. He wants to feel like that. I'm not his boss.
Right.
That's a huge one, especially for
equality.
women today in business. We have to really go into our feminine when it comes to being with a man because they don't want a boss.
No.
They don't want a CEO.
Well, no one does. Even with Megan, like when I want to, obviously we tell each other when we get annoyed at each other, and
Yeah.
she gets annoyed at me when I remind her, did you do this, did you do this, did you do this? And like the truth is I was just raised that way because my
Yes.
mom is super like always saying, did you do this?
Yeah.
So I just was raised that way, and I try not to do it. I'm not perfect. I try
know,
not to,
but
but
I-
but there's nothing wrong that
Yeah.
that's how she feels, and
Right.
and then I would want to know that because if I was doing that to a partner and I didn't know it was annoying them, how am I supposed to fix it?
Yeah,
Like I'm not
exactly.
obviously not trying to like
no, it's
Be an
just part of your
asshole.
trigger.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's good to just have.
It's
Yeah.
just everyone's raised differently or comes from different cultures or whatever it is.
Well,
Yeah.
this has been an exciting day with Megan and Megan. We have to wrap this up because we have
fine.
1 minute.
Okay.
But
okay.
I mean, we have so much to talk about. It's like we need to have another
Part 2.
episode.
I know.
You guys are
Core
amazing,
values,
right?
Yes,
values
incredible.
and
Thank you so much for coming on. And we can't wait for your next event on November 22nd.
Yeah.
yes.
So-
Thank God someone knows.
Yes,
Yeah, can you
November
please
22nd
tell
at
us?
the SLS.
Yeah, so first, actually, there's tomorrow, we have our podcast launch party.
Exciting.
And we're getting 40 Under 40 tonight at Beverly Hills Living Magazine.
Amazing.
Nice.
So that's just a little
Congratulations.
Like, oh yeah, that's what we're doing on the agenda.
Yeah, we're doing a photo shoot for our It box. I'm sure you know we have a beauty box every year, so we're doing that
Nice.
today. That shoots a beautiful new box. People could buy a ticket with the box for the November 22nd event. But essentially, we have Toronto first, October 25th. We're finally all flying to Meagan.
I'm like
wow.
the one who's always collecting the flying miles, but yeah, everyone's
We're all
coming
going
to
there.
Toronto.
I actually had a
Incredible.
dream about your house last night, and I was just remembering to tell you it.
Okay.
So
I'm like, what was going
I
down?
did. So we're gonna go to Toronto, and then we are going to be in LA November 22nd for So Let's Shop at the SLS. So the ticket page will be up probably next week. So people can buy tickets and they could get VIP with swag, VIP with It Box, general admission.
So just in case they don't know how to find it, how
yeah.
do they find Modern Day Wife?
Thank you. So Instagram at The Modern Day Wife. And then we'll add that ticket link to our link in bio as soon as it's ready.
Amazing.
It's if you haven't gone, you have to go. It's a must. It's so much fun. It's so LA.
Also, if people sponsor, then they can come the night before to Founder Hour.
Very cool.
Amazing.
This year, we'll launch our second printed magazine.
Oh,
Right?
very
And what
good.
happened on your first magazine, Meagan and Meghan?
So we had both of you do a fireside chat at the
Yes.
Lowe's Hollywood Penthouse.
Yes, and it was
And
so
a feature
fun.
in the magazine.
It was amazing.
And we'll talk about that for November 22nd's event too.
Awesome.
So there's a lot coming up, and that event will be a great holiday shopping event. And we
Yeah,
definitely want everyone to
the
come.
holiday shopping is. I spent too much money.
Don't we all?
But
Good.
anyway, thank you so much, Meagan and Meghan. This has been amazing. You guys are beautiful. Congratulations on Miss International.
Thank you.
And keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Okay.